What's up, vlog people? Somebody asked me recently how I got into comics and superheroes and stuff, and I was just watching some videos on YouTube that reminded me about that because this is what I'm into, right? Make videos about it, and then when work day's done, start watching videos about it to relax. But seriously, for me, it was a couple of things that happened all in a go. I was like a little kind of toddler age baby when the Christopher Reeve Superman movies were like old enough that they've already been in the theater and now they're being played on TV a lot, like, you know, on the weekends in the afternoon, or maybe it's on in prime time and it's a big deal. So like Superman was a really big thing for me, to the point where I used to run around with a red cape pinned around my neck instead of a teddy bear or a security blanket. That was my thing, is I had the red cape on. And my mom will even tell stories about how, like, in the wintertime I'd have my coat on with my little red cape like flapping like out the bottom of my coat. And I was Superman for Halloween every year from like the earliest Halloweens I can remember to like maybe grade 2. Yeah, and so Superman was a big deal. Yeah, Superman was my main guy. But also, a very formative event in my life was when my dad took the family to go see a re-release in the theater of the 1966 Adam West Batman movie. And the production values of it are such that the Batcave is super stylized and it's a set, and like, you know, Commissioner Gordon's office sort of just looks like an office, and Wayne Manor just looks like a house. But a lot of that movie is like out on the pier and all these kinds of like real life locations, and plus the Batmobile driving around like real roads and stuff when it leaves the Batcave, and, you know, the whole being out in the ocean and that kind of thing. As a little kid, like maybe 4 or 5 years old, I was looking up at it and like I'm trying to, my little kid brain, make sense of it. And the only way that it made sense to me was that, oh, okay, so Batman and Robin are real guys and the bad guys are cooperating with them in, no, how was it? Okay, how would I think about it? Batman and Robin were like reenacting their adventures for the movie cameras, because obviously this is not documentary, right? So this was about my little brain's like, okay, so they're not shooting it as it happens. This is obviously staged. So what's the deal here? Okay, Batman and Robin are reenacting their adventures to cameras. Oh, but why would the bad guys go along with it? And oh, it must be that Batman and Robin did such a good job of cleaning up Gotham City that the bad guys are cooperating with it to show how bad they were, but they're really, you know, turned around now, and they're just letting everybody see how bad they were. And also, this is around the same time that me and my mother used to watch the old Spider-Man, right? Oh, yeah, speak of the devil. We used to watch the Spider-Man cartoon. So Spider-Man is like my mom's favorite, and Batman was kind of my dad's favorite, and then Superman was the one that I discovered that was for me at the time. Spider-Man is my favorite now for a lot of different. I'm skipping ahead because this story is how I got into this stuff. So that's like the formative years, right? So I grew up as a little kid. I kind of got set on a path to believe in that movies are the most important thing that anybody cares about, and superhero movies are the most important of movies. And so when all these things dovetailed for me to be like a little kid, got my action figures and stuff like that when the 1989 Tim Burton Batman came out. And I can remember being in the comic book store and hearing like the adults and the older kids talking shit about Michael Keaton as Batman, but I didn't care. All I cared is what to make of the Batman movie. And the first look I got of Batman, like how he was going to look in the movie, was, okay, so this is going back to, I lived for only a year and a half in Oshawa, Ontario, which is like kind of a suburby, the nearest medium-sized city to Toronto, like a half-hour to 45-minute drive away from Toronto to the east. And me and my buddies, we used to go to Ken's Comics. And Ken's Comics, we were going for one of our visits to Ken's Comics, and they had a poster in the window advertising the Batman movie trading card collection. And so the graphic for that advertisement had the picture that everybody's seen a million times of Michael Keaton standing there in the suit in front of the Batmobile. That was the first look I got of Batman from this new movie. And it's just like, oh my God, they've made this like thing and it's actual Batman. The suit is black instead of gray and blue. What is this? And we spent all our allowance on those Batman cards. We collected those Batman cards like crazy. We go buy them from the convenience store. And it's crazy. So, yeah, and also Batman comic books, like as many as I can get my hands on. So got a little bit older, and Batman, the popularity of that movie came and went. And then the next season, it was, the next summer movie season, it was Dick Tracy and The Rocketeer, and I went to see all of those. that was around the time when I started going to the movies by myself if I had to. Because like I had to see these movies, I had to see them in the theater, I had to see them opening weekend, and if I couldn't get anybody to go with me, I'd just get on the bus and go by myself. I remember the first couple times my dad, it wasn't that he told me I couldn't go, but he told me like, why would you want to? Like, why would you want to go to the movies by yourself? And it took a while for me to like really finally, I think it took 3 or 4 tries before I was finally, I gotta see this movie, I just gotta go. Like, if I don't go now, I'm not gonna see it. Anyways, so I was following all the superhero like movie news and rumors and all that kind of stuff back when there was no internet and you had to read the back page of a magazine called Comics Scene, and the back page of the magazine was always like bullet list, single sentence movie rumors. So it's like Paul Rubens is in talks to play Plastic Man was a big one that I remember that they kept repeating and all this kind of stuff. So then they made more Batman movies, and then the Batman and Robin happened, and that sort of got me out of that. Now, after the Batman movie thing had come and gone, Superman became my guy because I got really into the comics. One day I was at the comic book store, and it occurred to me that like I hadn't bought a Spider-Man comic since I was a little kid, so I just picked one up and was hooked right away. And I was all into the costume and the backstory, and Eric Larson was drawn at the time, and he's still one of my favorite Spider-Man artists to this day. And Spider-Man was the guy. It's like Batman was cool, like because he's super popular and he's everywhere, but Spider-Man was a little more of a like, you know, the cooler guy. You know what I mean? And we were all of us were like obsessed with. Okay, we got the Batman movie, we've seen the Superman movie, and it just made logical sense. Obviously, we're gonna get a Spider-Man movie probably soon. So we were all like kind of, you know, getting the fandom in gear so that when it comes around, we're not like wearing the t-shirts Johnny Come Lately style. We're going to be the OGs that were into it all along, and everybody knows that we're the guys who were into Spider-Man, right? So anyway, so we were following with great enthusiasm the rumors as it was going along that James Cameron had got hold of it and he's developing it and he's going to make a movie of it, and then it calmed down for a while, and then when it came back, it's like, oh, he's still doing it. Okay, oh, Leonardo DiCaprio, yeah, that guy who we know now from all these shows and these movies, he's going to be Spider-Man. Oh, Schwarzenegger's going to be Dr. Octopus, and oh man. So that movie never did happen, obviously. So by the time Spider-Man movies did come out, comic book movies were sort of just like, whatever, because of Batman and Robin in, what was that, 98, I think? I got away from superhero comics for a while in my early 20s, like kind of late teens, early 20s, like, you know, college age. I got away from superhero comics because I was getting really hardcore into arts comics. This is around the time I'm starting to make my own comic books, and that dovetails into like me selling my own comic books that I'm making on the street for a living to strangers for 3 years and all that kind of stuff. And I got away from superhero comics because I think like the movies had kind of let me down, and the comics just sort of like were just spinning their wheels again and again. And then they did the whole like Death of Superman thing, and that was just such a contrivance, and it was just such bullcrap. And even back then, it was so obvious that it was just this thing that they're doing to goose the fans out of their money that it just put a bad taste in my mouth. And also the Spider-Man comics had gotten crappy by that point, and like, you know, Aunt May, they were about to kill off Aunt May, and there's this whole thing where like his parents came back, but oh, it was all a plot by the Red Skull. They're really robots, and this whole thing where it's like, in some story way back when, there had been a single issue story involving Spider-Man having got cloned, and so they introduced this plot thread where like the real Spider-Man has been back there since way back then, and the Spider-Man you've been reading about from then to now has been this clone. And it's just like, they were just really, really, really bad comics. And so that's sort of like the whole like kind of Batman and Robin, Death of Superman, Spider-Man clone saga was sort of the 1, 2, 3 punch for me. I was just like, you know what, screw it, I'm done. And I got really, really, really into like alternative comics, artsy comics, this kind of stuff. Then the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire started coming out, and those were actually good, and the X-Men movies had come out, and those were actually good, and that all just sort of like reignited my love of superheroes, and I was following the movies, and I'd go out and see the movie like every single, you know, first day, no matter what, right? Get the tickets to the midnight screen and all that kind of stuff. And then I started like, you know, knowing the people who I got to know to be able to go to the advanced screenings and stuff like that, and it's crazy. And then what got me back into reading comics and comics being good again was, so I skipped like a lot of years. I shouldn't say skipped, I'm going back and looking it up now, but I missed a lot of years of superhero continuity. But then in 2012, the summer that Avengers came out, and the summer that Dark Knight Rises came out, The crossover event that Marvel was doing that summer was Avengers versus X-Men. A lot of people think it's just like, yeah, whatever. People I talk to don't think it's so great. I loved it, and I was just high on like superhero a fever, and Avengers versus X-Men. It just was a suitably epic matchup, and actually, just for me, the comics were good. I liked them. I was enjoying the story. I enjoyed it much more than I enjoyed Secret Wars this year or last year. Actually, no, last year spilled into this year. Yeah, Avengers versus X-Men was a fun story, and I liked it as an event. And then also then I started going back and picking up the Spider-Man comics, and Spider-Man comics are really good, and that sort of starts getting into the end of the Amazing Spider-Man run, and then Superior Spider-Man, and that still has me just like, oh, that was so good. I love Superior Spider-Man. And now I buy every issue of the Amazing Spider-Man no matter what. I don't get all of the Spider-Man like tie-ins and spin-offs and stuff, because it's just like, I'm not a pack rat, and I don't just accumulate stuff for the sake of it. So I'm only going to get the stuff that I actually like, I'm really into and I really want to read, and there's a purpose for why I'm collecting it, and it all makes sense to me. And now, as you've seen some of my vlogs talking about it, I'm really into collecting the variant covers. You know, because it's maybe a cynical thing. You could look at it from a certain point of view. It's a cynical thing where they just print different versions of the cover to get people to buy the same book over and over and over again. But it's almost like that's the work of art. Like, you know, just think of it as like the cover is you're buying a painting, and you know, it's whatever. I don't know. I love collecting the variant cover comic books, and it's almost like, because there's a little series of them across different comic book series, right? So you want to get all of the, like they did the Jack Kirby Monsters variants, and they do the cosplay variants, and the Gwenpool variants, the Gwen variants, and all that kind of stuff, Howard the Duck variants, and so it's just fun. I'm really into the Scotty Young baby variants myself. Yeah, so collecting comics like a crazy person. And now, like 8-year-old me, 12-year-old me, 15-year-old me, high fives myself now, like every single morning when I get up and look in the mirror for the first time. My inner child is just like, you rule, because I've been able to, like, you know, build this life where my work and my play is just all superheroes and comic books. And it's just, yeah, living the dream. I was about to swear. Living the dream, and it's awesome. And so that's my long and winding road answer to that question of how I got into superheroes and comic books. And I am always wanting to hear from you about how you got into comics and superheroes, and who's your favorite, who was your favorite when you were a kid. You know, just add a little something in the comments, or talk to me on Twitter or Facebook, and let me know how you got into comics and who your favorite characters were when you were little, and you know why you like superheroes. For me to start talking about why I like superheroes, I think is going to like triple the length of this blog, so we'll save that for another one. But I will say thank you so much for watching, and check out a new vlog tomorrow, and talk to me on social media, because I've got my phone here all day and the notifications are on. So I just love talking to people who watch my videos. Just, you know, it's a fun little thing to just like adds a real nice color and flavor to the day, to just, you know, every little here and there throughout the day, to have a little something to talk to on the social media. It's fun. So hit me up over there and keep watching the videos, and thank you so much, everybody. Bye.